So now we need to set up input for the user, for the player. And we're going to do this using Unreal's Enhanced Input plugin, which is already built in and already activated. This is a new way of handling input from the more recent versions. Now, the way that this works is that in the new system, we create something called input actions. Those input actions are defined by what the different triggers can do. And we create input actions for each action that our player can do, such as move, look, jump, things like that. We then create an input mapping context where we set our keybinds for what buttons do what. So we make it so arrow or W moves forward and S moves back or whatever. We set our mouse to move the camera, spacebar to jump, things like that. And we define exactly how the controller input gets used in order to trigger that. We then add the enhanced input local player subsystem to our blueprint. And then we define the actual behavior of our blueprint. There will be links to these documents in the video where if you want to kind of look in here and really dig into exactly how all of this works. But for our purposes, we just need to set up some input actions and then our input mapping. So let's go to our content drawer, content folder, and instead of blueprints, in here, we're going to make a new folder called inputs with an S. Putting this inside of blueprints folder because these are going to directly be tied to our blueprints. We'll open up the inputs folder. And in here, I'm going to make another new folder called actions. Still inside of our inputs folder, not inside of actions, we're going to right click, go to input, create an input mapping context. Call it IMC player ball. Open that up and we'll dock this on the editor for now and then just save it. We'll get back to this later. Now instead of actions folder, we're going to create, right click input action. And these we give the prefix IA underscore, and we'll do role, IA role. In fact, let's go and make the rest of them too. We'll do input action, IA jump, and then input action, IA underscore look. Go to File and Save All. And there we go. Let's go ahead and open up IA Roll for now. Now, inside of our input action, we define the action description, how it behaves in some capacities. But for now, we really only care about this value type right here. Let's set the value type to axis 2D vector 2D. What this is saying is we have a two-dimensional axis, forward, back, left, and right. If I switch to kind of a top-down view, you can see what I mean. We're moving on a flat plane, right? So we're only ever moving forward, or back, or left and right. This makes it so our roll is tied to different axes, and we can then map it to different buttons. So here we have a gamepad tester. It has a basic controller here, and then on the video I should also have a controller. So you can see as I press a button, the input gets red. And you can see that the numerical value for that button goes from 0 to 1. Controllers with their surface buttons, their face buttons, they're either on or off. They're triggers, they're booleans, on or off. Same goes with all of the face buttons. Values are on or off. The joysticks, however, go from a value from 0 or close to 0 to 1. or -1. You can see that as I press up on the joystick, the axis 3 here goes to 1. That's because of the way the controllers work. It works based off of the position of the bottom of the joystick. As I push the top forward, the bottom moves backwards. And if I go the other way, it goes to -1. If I go to the side, axis 2 in this case, the X and Y, goes from -1 over here and +1 over here. So we can have any values in between 0 and 1 and 0 and -1. Now, this number, this numerical value, is what is passed into our input mapping context. Now, depending on the kind of controller you have, your triggers are either going to be buttons, like this one is, or it's either on or off, or you might have a value that's similar to an axis where it'll be from a value of 0 to 1. Or if you press it all the way down, it goes to 1. Though that does depend on the kind of controller you're using. With a mouse and keyboard, your keys work like buttons, so either on or off. But your mouse uses the screen space as a grid, where you get a numerical value and it translates it into something similar to what your left stick would be or your right stick would be, based on your setting, where it'll give you an axis based off the direction that the mouse is moving, mapped to the two-dimensional screen space. So we get something similar to a joystick. If we go back and open up our input mapping controller, our IMC, here we define the mappings. If you hit the plus button, we have the ability to define what we want to map. Click on that, we'll do IA roll. We then hit this button to expand. I'll hit that one too. And here we can pick what key we want to work with. You can see that we can define it to the mouse or different keyboard buttons or Xbox specific buttons or PlayStation specific buttons, things like that. We also have the ability to just select the key value. If you click on this button right here, little keyboard there, and then press W on your keyboard, that defines, hey, whatever button that was is what we're working with. So W is going to be forward, and we'll add another one in, and we'll do S for back. Another one will do A for left. Another one will do D for right. Now you may prefer to use the arrow keys. That's fine too. That works as well. In order to do that, all you have to do is rebind this, hit that button there, and hit the up key. I prefer to have it as W. You could also just create more for the other keys and you just kind of redo some of the work. So you could have ones for W, S, A, D, and then have up to be the same as W, down arrow be the same as S, left to be the same as A, and right to be the same as D. That's up to you if you want to do that. For simplicity's sake, though, I'm going to leave this alone. All right, so we've set up our mapping and our action. Now we need to define, well, what should use this input? And also, what should the input do? So I'm going to go to my BP player ball, go to my event graph, and now we need to bind our actions. Well, let's check the documentation for how to do that. So getting started, plugin, we already have that. Great. We have our input actions. Cool. We have our input mapping context. Already done. Once you have populated the input mapping context, you can add it to the local player associated with the Pawns player controller. You can achieve this by casting the Pawns controller to the player controller, getting its enhanced input local subsystem, and adding the input mapping context to it. Okay, cool. So we just have to do this. So we need to cast a player controller. To do that, we do get controller. Then we add mapping context, and then add an enhanced input local player subsystem. We just got to do this. Okay, easy. So back in our event graph, we're going to work inside of event begin play. So the first thing we need to do is get player controller. Right, that's what it says there. Once we have our get player controller, we then need to cast to player controller. Then we need to add mapping context. Okay. So we'll do add mapping context. Now we need this enhanced input local player subsystem. So as player controller, we'll do enhanced, there we go. Get enhanced input local player subsystem. And we'll connect this to our target. And in the mapping context, we define our IMC player ball. And that's it. So this is, again, just getting the player controller, getting its enhanced input player subsystem, so the enhanced input thing we just did, and then we map the context to it for our input mapping controller we made. All right, we'll compile that. And I actually get a note that return value is already a player controller, so you don't need a cast. That's fine. This is really just a check that we have a player controller. And that's kind of really all that's there for. Okay, now let's add in some binds. So down under an event tick, I'm going to right click and I'll do IA roll. This is pulling this input action right here, our IA roll. When we hit whatever button that's associated with, it'll do something. We can make it do something. So from triggered, I'm going to drag this out. And for now, I'll just do a print string. And I'll say in string, you hit a button. Compile and save. Go in and we'll press play. Reset my view. Now press W. You hit a button. I press S. You get a button. A and D, or the arrow keys if that's what you did. We hit a button. Yay. Let's go ahead and change this so that way we are printing out whatever value we get. So input action value, I'm going to connect that there and print that out instead. We'll see what that looks like and what that does. Compile and save. I press W or up. I get X1, Y0. I press S. I get X1, Y0 also. I press A. I get X1, Y0. And D. I get X1, Y0. That's because we haven't mapped the different directions for which buttons they go to, but we'll do that next. So back in our input mapping controller, for our W, our forward key, we don't need to change anything. For our S, we need to add a modifier. So if W is forward, S is back. So we need X to be 1 with W. We need it to be -1 with S. So I'll go to modifiers, little plus button. And here I'm going to put in negate. This means it makes it negative. So let's click save and see what happens there. W, 1, I press S, I get X of -1 and Y of -0. So I'm now getting a negative value, depending on which button I press. Now, if I do A, I still just get X. It's not changing it to the Y value. We got to fix that really quick. For A, we'll add a modifier. And for this one, we're going to do swizzle input axis values. Basically, it takes our X input, changes it to a Y. And then for D, we need to do both. We are actually going to need to add a modifier for swizzle input axis and negate. And now we have two modifiers. Click save and test it out. And I should get 1, 0, -1, -0, 0, 1 when I press left or A, and -0, -1 when I press right. So we now have input based on direction. Now we just need to set it up to actually use that input.